Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new episode of our virtual interview series. And we want to talk today to Serafino Iacono, who is the chairman and interim CEO of Denarius. Welcome and good morning to Spain, to Madrid. How are you?
Very well, thank you very much. I'll be here. Very happy to be in Europe.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. I mean, your company is really outstanding, I must say. I'm a shareholder of the company also, and you're working in Spain and also Colombia. Let's start with Spain, with the Lomero-Poyatos polymetallic project, and you had the latest drill result, which just came out like 2 days ago. I think 1.5% copper, 0.4% lead, 2.2% zinc, 44 grams silver, but what I like most is 4.7 grams per ton gold. So that is outstanding. Great start, isn't it, for this year?
Look, we're very happy with the first 4 drill holes. There is 16 more to come in the next 30 to 60 days. And what we're going to be working on is on a full drill program of 22,000 meters that we're doing. The first 3 holes out of the 4 were very important because what they are is confirmation drilling that the work that was done previously that outlined 22 million tons of mineralization came out exactly to our expectation, if not better than our expectation, because actually the widths that we had on the original mineralization or work that was done in the past excluded some areas that I'm sure that they took out because of they weren't up to the grades at the time of related to the price of minerals, but today are more economic to mine. So we're talking about in areas where we had 7 meters, we had 10 meters of mineralization. So not only did we confirm 22 million tons potential, but also increase the potential of tons. But the best surprise of it all was the step out. A step out is something that we go into an area in between or outside of the scoping area where there is the drilling. And this was our surprise. Look, I've been in the mining business for almost 40 years. And I can tell you, when you start seeing mineralization with those kind of, 20 meters solid, with massive sulfides and stockworks, with things like 4 grams of gold and all the minerals that you said, it's pretty impressive as far as size. Now, there is a slew of other minerals associated or rare earths on that. Some of them not economic, but there is some of them that we're doing studies on to understand what they mean. But a very large quantity of minerals that we haven't even included into this thing. So to me, one thing about Denarius is, and the project in Lomero, is that it's coming along very well for Gran Colombia. Gran Colombia put a bet in this company when we saw the project, we saw the same thing that we saw in Goldex. We feel that this is going to be another mine. It sits in the right neighborhood, right next to the Matza mine that just got sold for $2.5 billion. It's right next to Atalaya that's got $1 billion market cap and produces almost 22,000 tons of copper concentrate a year. So we're in the right neighborhood with the right minerals. With the most important thing, this is a European play. And the world is going to come to realize that if we want to go into the green and start building batteries and start building infrastructure, if you're going to go to the Chinese to buy materials 20, 30 years from now, the Chinese are not going to be selling you materials. The Chinese are going to be selling you final product. So Europe better wake up and start developing their own industry and their own resources in our country, because I'm European. So in our area of comfort and start producing made in Europe minerals that are going to be developing our infrastructure in this country. Now,
absolutely.
These are pretty amazing numbers when you look at it. I mean, just if I look at the price of the gold that is in the area, which averages in the first 3 holes about a 1.5 to 2 grams of gold, you're looking at a rock that is worth about $600 to $900 a ton. That's the way people got to look at it. And since this is going to be an underground project and a sub-level stoping, so it's not going to be an open pit, it's not going to be a messy thing. It's going to be a controlled environment. And it's also going to be a controlled environment once you go underground, because you got no stripping, you got no waste material. So you're basically mining what, the widths that you have. This is going to be a fantastic project, very low cost to produce. We know that some of our neighbors like Matza and Atalaya, they produce a ton of material for less than 50 euros per ton, and that's to make a concentrate, all the way to mining to concentrate. So the economics of these projects are fantastic right now.
So 50 euros a ton, and you said $600 to $900 is the ton worth. That's would be an outstanding margin for the future.
Oh, absolutely. Well, remember that you got to put construction, you got to put the building of the mine and everything. So, but we see still a very low cost operation, because it's going to be about maybe at best with all sustainable cost and everything, possibly between $300 and $400 a ton, out of something that's got a $900 a ton in minerals. So I can choose the minerals that I want to be in. I mean, potentially, and I make it very clear for the investors, potentially, as we start confirming these numbers that are there, even if I look at 22 million tons, it's the equivalent, if you want to look at gold, it's the equivalent of over 4 million ounces of gold in the ground, or it's the equivalent of a 4.5% copper equivalent in the ground.
And so that's really a lot.
Absolutely. And I choose my mineral. What mineral do I want? The other incredible thing is that because we're not in a jungle environment, we're not in the Andes of 40,000 feet of altitude, just to exaggerate. We're mining in Andalusia. I can go inside the mine site in a regular car with beautiful highway with a 2 Michelin restaurant in the town right next to where we have our offices. And I mean, it's an incredible infrastructure with electricity, roads, security. It's the perfect place. It's not, and I'm not putting down other countries, but Europe is Europe and Spain is Spain.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one great advantage also that this country has is there is no royalties. So I have a very big leeway in developing the project by bringing in the royalty companies to help finance the project. So what do we see? In the future, we see this thing going, we're going to finish our 22,000 meters drilling. The 22,000 meter drilling that we're going to be doing is going to not only confirm the 22 million tons, probably is going to expand the 22 million tons. And then we are going to do a subsequent 60,000 meter drilling for expanding the resources and for bringing the resources to the point that we can wrap around the pre-feasibility on it. That's going to be done in the next 18 months. Company's fully financed, $18 million in the bank, US. Gran Colombia is the major shareholder. The second major shareholder is King Street Capital, that has been a fantastic investor in the company. And so we're well financed, and we very well backed into this thing. You have stock
Absolutely.
that trades somewhere around the 50, 60 cents level. If you compare it to the peers in the Pyrite belt, forget about what we have in Colombia, which is also great assets, and we'll talk about that too. But just on the Pyrite belt, if you compare it to our peers, we're a gift as a share wise. So we'll take the project to pre-feasibility. We are already starting to do metallurgical works. There is a lot of studies on metallurgical on the project. One thing, some people think that that the gold might be refractory. So far, what we see, we don't see any refractory gold. We see free gold. The majority of it be free gold, which is
So
very.
that would mean for a, let's say, future production scenario, it's quite normally to mine with standard methods, right? So easy to do.
Absolutely. There is, we don't see any refractory or very important refractory material on it. So what do we intend to do? This is a project, we're not going to build a facility to do CIL or anything like that. This is a very straightforward thing. In Europe, we have many smelters in Sardinia, in France, in Portugal, and I believe that there's going to be more smelters being built in Spain and other parts of Europe. So we see this to be a plant that's going to be mining and make different concentrates for clients. I will talk about right now just about the concentrates that are going to be the three concentrates out of what we have in the results, but there is potentially for other minerals that can be recovered economically, very, very, very important minerals in the table of doing things. So we're going to be making a plant that's going to take it, crush, mill, take mining, and then produce three products: a copper gold concentrate, a zinc concentrate, and a lead, silver, and a little bit of gold and a little bit of other minerals concentrate, which those are going to be the three areas that we're going to be working on.
Super. So that sounds to me like that you have a very clear path, clear vision that you really want to bring this project by yourself in production. So it's not the objective if somebody comes like your neighbors you mentioned, that they say, oh, wow, this is so favorable, this project, we want to take the company over.
Well, I would believe that our neighbors will want it because 22 million tons, they do 20,000 tons a day. So 22 million tons can add to them, even 2 million tons can add 7 to 10 year mine life to their mine. It's still open at depth, still open at a strike length. Right now, as I see it, the project, as the CEO of this company, I see it as a development project. Okay, we develop it ourselves. I mean, just rough ideas of how I would see this project. This would be a 250 top $300 million to build a facility to do the three different concentrate. Spain's got fantastic contract miners, so it's very inexpensive. If you look at Atalaya uses contract miners. If you look at the other neighbors that are working, they're all using contract miners. We'd be using contract miners ourselves. So that brings costs down. To build a project like this, I don't see it as an unreasonable thing. I would see, like I see in Guyana, that we started looking at Guyana with Gran Colombia, when people weren't seeing what we were seeing. The Guyana project's got a 2-year payback. This is a project that probably would have a 2 to 3 year payback maximum.
Okay, super. So, how does it work with permitting in Andalusia? Is that a clear path forward?
You know something, everybody in the beginning was scaring me and scaring everybody. Spain is difficult. I'm a major shareholder in a company called Strategic Mineral Europe. They are producing in Spain in the north part of Galicia. And they've got their permits, they get their permits, the government cooperates in Galicia. It's the same thing in Andalusia. You have to get your permits, you got to do things right, you got to do like we are supposed to do as a serious mining company. But I can tell you that we applied in September for permits for drilling. By November, we had permits for drilling.
Wow, that's fast.
That's fast.
Super.
Once we take this project to feasibility or pre-feasibility, and we have a commercial go ahead, probably will take 7-8 months before you start putting all the pre-feasibility. You go to the junta and you do all the things. But I believe that these projects are very doable. You have a government that wants it. You have a local government that wants it. We have a European community that finally has realized that if we don't go after our natural resources over here, we're going to be dependent on China, Africa, and any other places, and we're going to be at the mercy of them, like we are at the mercy of the Russians right now for natural gas. So we have to wake up and start doing our own future and developing our own resources. So I think that the government is there. I believe that this project can be in operation within 24 to 36 months from the moment that you decide that you can take it into production.
Fantastic. When will we see a first 43-101 resource estimate?
We already have a 43-101 in the company.
Yeah, let's say an update. Yeah.
Update that was done by SRK about 3 months ago. We are going to be now doing a new 43-101 sometime in March, April, and updated. That's going to just give the confirmation that what we had, that we had as historical resources now are our resources because we confirmed them. Yeah. That's a main step that we want to do.
Fantastic. So let's move shortly to Colombia. And you are doing there the Guia Antigua project and also the Zancudo project, which is with IAMGOLD together. So how was 2021? Did you meet your exploration objectives, and what's going on there? What's the status of those two projects?
Very much so. We're going to be coming out with results in the Guia Antigua exploration program pretty soon. We've done about 6,000 meters of drilling. Guia Antigua, different than here, is a little bit, it's narrow veins, 1 meter to 2 meters. But it's a very interesting deposit. It's east side of the Gran Colombia producing mine of El Silencio and Sandra K and everything. It's the extension. What the difference is on the project is that in the Gran Colombia side, we mine 14 grams of gold and 1 ounce of silver, of the equivalent in silver. On the other side, you have 3 to 6 grams of gold, and then you have up to 3 kilos of silver per ton. So it's a silver project. The reason that we spun it off, because it doesn't fit, or at the time it didn't fit with our plant that produces gold and only recovers 60% of the silver. So therefore, we decided to spin it off because we didn't want to screw up the circuit and everything. But we are seeing that this is a project. It's not going to be a gigantic project. It's got still a lot of upside to go. It's a big silver gold system. Still, when you have an average of 300 to 700 grams of gold per ton, of silver per ton, with 3 grams of gold or 4 grams of gold, it's still a fantastic project.
Absolutely.
Okay. So how do we see it? We see it developing it. And at one point, since Gran Colombia developed a new plant to extract the zinc, the lead, which we have a lot of it also in Guia Antigua, and the silver that is left over when we process our own material, We built a facility to do 200 tons a day, very easily expandable to 400, 500 tons a day. And that's what we're going to be doing. The way I see it is we're going to develop the Guia Antigua and then maybe start with a production in the next 2 years of about 200 to 300 tons a day, small, then grow it with the idea of sending the material to the Maria Dama plant to recover the gold, get paid for the gold and the silver that we recover there, and then use the secondary process to process in the Maria Dama new plant to recover zinc, lead, and the remaining silver and the remaining gold. So that's the idea. So there is a great synergy on that. The drill results will show some incredible numbers in silver. Not that great like Gran Colombia on the gold, but still, 4 grams to 6 grams of gold. It's $280 rock in gold. So there is nothing wrong with that.
No. That is for sure. What do you think would be the investment for a thing like this? Because then you would have a second mine.
Well, this used to be a mine.
Yeah.
It's got 3 levels. It's the idea to develop that, to make it, to develop the level 1 to level 5. I mean, 3 levels, it's 200 meters depth. So it's very shallow. The idea is to drill some more, expand resources, maybe prove about 500,000 ounces of gold and silver equivalent. And then from there, then it becomes economic for us to mine it.
Okay.
The other project with I Am Gold, it's a very simple project. Zancudo is the oldest known commercial mine in Colombia. It came in a package with us when we created Gran Colombia Gold. Okay. The Zancudo mine has a fantastic history. If you go into the internet, it owned its own bank in the 1800s and printed its own currency backed by gold. And it was a legal tender in Colombia. It paid for the independence of Colombia to the British because the British provided arms in exchange for mining the gold in that area. Over 3 to 4 million ounces of gold were mined in the Zancudo mine, and they only scratched the surface. So I Am Gold came in at a time when Gran Colombia gold was at 1100. Gran Colombia had its hands full with Marmato, had its hands full with Segovia. And we decided at the time to joint venture with I Am Gold. I Am Gold is spending $10 million. It's almost done. By next year, they finished phase 1 of exploration. The idea is that once they finish and they decide that they have what they consider commercial for them, they will come in and they will take the project to feasibility. And taking the project to feasibility, they'll end up with 70%. We'll end up with 30%, and then we'll finance the project and develop it. If they don't like what they see or the resources is not up to the standards or I Am Gold, what they will do is they will walk out and the project is ours. One way or the other, we have a winner because what we see in TTRB is a gigantic system. It's a gold porphyry. And if you go to the west, it's gold and copper. It turns into gold and copper. All the drill that has been done by I Am Gold, which we also going to come out in the next few weeks with results and an update, are fantastic. I mean, we're talking about grades of gold of 8 to 10 grams of gold with lots of silver, big silver numbers, and potential for, as you expand to the west, potentially other minerals like copper.
Fantastic. Wow, that sounds like a real big thing for Denarius, I would say, and the future looks really bright. Happy to be a shareholder, to be honest.
I'm still a big buyer of you can see it. Every month I clear positions in other investments that I have, and I buy this. I bought 100,000 shares about a week ago, simply because I honestly believe that comparing to our peers that are working in Spain, I mean, we have companies in Spain that are doing exploration. They have more or less the same resources or even less resources than us, and they have a $600 million market cap. And here's a company that's got potentially and a very definable 22 million tons of resources still in the first 250 meters of depth, and with a market cap of $100 million with $18 million in cash in the bank, US.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's a bargain, I would call it. I should buy some more, definitely. To come to an end, I would love to have shortly your view on, let's say, the metal stocks in the world, which are really diminishing, maybe especially for copper and silver. But what's your view on the market? I mean, those are the two, really important metals, let's say, solar, e-mobility, renewable energies. What's your view on that, if you can make it short?
Well, I honestly don't think that there's going to be enough copper to satisfy what everybody ambition is in getting infrastructure. I just give you a real quick example of one thing. I bought a car over here in Spain that it's a hybrid car. Okay, in Madrid. I'm looking for a place to charge my car outside of my house, which they're going to build an infrastructure to charge the car. In an area, the most well-known area that it's called Retiro, there is one charging machine that can charge a car every hour, one car an hour. So, and by the way, a hybrid car gives you only 44 kilometers in electricity. Now, this gives you the scope of what infrastructure it's going to be needed just in a city like Madrid. Now multiply it to a country like Italy, 80 million people, multiply it to Spain, 44 million people, to Switzerland, to Germany and everything, and put the whole European community, 300 million people, something like 100 million cars at least on the road. Where is the infrastructure and where are the metals going to come to build that infrastructure? And I'm just talking about Europe, okay? Where is the metal going to come in? They're going to need copper, they're going to need zinc, they're going to need tin, they're going to need every metal whatsoever. And that's just to build the infrastructure so that you can park your car in front of your house and charge it. And then comes the bigger problem. Where is that energy coming from? It's either going to come from nuclear, and nobody wants nuclear in Europe except Switzerland and France. And it's ironic. The Italians don't want nuclear, but if they have a nuclear power plant sitting in Switzerland, that if something happens in Switzerland, there is nowhere to go for the Italians or the Spanish in France, or the Germans, you know, and so on. So it's either going to be nuclear, it's either going to be coal, it's either going to be natural gas. But I can tell you one thing, it's not going to be solar and wind that's going to solve the problem of the world. It's going to be, those things are going to be around. So what's my prediction? My prediction, we are in definitely a changing time, like the Industrial Revolution of the 1800s. We are going into a different direction, a different world. The new generation, my kids, your kids, are looking now at electric as a normal thing. So it's a reality. But now you got to build the infrastructure and you got to build everything. So I think we are in a metal cycle that's going to last not for decades. It's going to last for the next 50, 60 years to build the infrastructure, first for the G20 countries, and then for the rest of the world, whatever there is infrastructure that needs to be built to change that. And I think climate change is a reality. but we have to rationalize it. I don't think it's going to be over by 2050 that the whole world is going to be electric and flying in hovercrafts made out of solar power, or airplanes that are going to fly in hydrogen, which I don't believe. I think it's going to be a long transition, and it's going to be long metals that are going to be coming in. So there is a lot of money to be made in not only in gold, that's going to be a currency. Silver is an industrial metal and a currency. And then all the other metals like copper are going to go through the roof.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That was a great final word, Serafino. I would say things look really good. Thanks for the interview, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Serafino Iacono from Denarius, the Executive Chairman and Interim CEO. Yeah, you heard it. Denarius is really on the high-speed path here. Exploration is really moving. Things are going extremely well. And lots of cash in the bank, several projects which can be brought in production. So you really should check out this fantastic company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.